Hey, what's up, class? I just wanted to kind of make a quick lecture for you about the social contract. You can also read the notes if you want, just by clicking the link below if you don't want me to need to explain it to you. All right, so a social contract is an agreement between an individual, so like you, and some kind of government, which in a classroom is kind of like me, actually, where you give up certain rights in exchange for something that government or power is supposed to do for you. You don't need to sign anything because you entered into this by tacit consent, meaning the fact that you show up and like participate is evidence of your agreement. And if you don't show up to school, like then you're bound by the social contract of the society, which you show up by existing here. So like you don't need to sign anything. You're here, therefore you agree to be bound by it. Why are you bound by it? See tacit consent. Also, here's like the philosophical reason. It's the idea of reciprocity because you get benefits of some kind, even if that, especially if that benefit is the protection of your rights. Because you get that benefit, you have an obligation to contribute. It's reciprocal, right? It's a give and take. And in society, that can be like paying taxes, jury duty, signing up for the draft if you're male. But basically, you can't get something for nothing. So fine, you're part of the society, you owe some kind of duty. What do you really get from that? And that is where people start to disagree. There's two basic philosophers we're going to go over here, super brief, right? The first one is John Locke. He's the more American one, and he's the one that kind of like really, helped influence the drafting of the American Constitution. He argues that humans form society to protect their natural rights, life, liberty, and property. In return, people give up the absolute liberty. You give up the liberty to infringe on other people's rights. If you have a right to life and we're in a society together, I give up the right to murder you for no reason, right? So you give up the ability to rob others to get what you need so that other people won't rob you to get what they need, because otherwise that's not a society. And here's an important one. If a government fails to its obligation to protect those rights or to fulfill its promise, then the citizenry can and should overthrow it. So this is the justification for political revolution, even if it's violent. And that's really the justification for the American Revolution in the colonist size. Of course, if you're on the other side, then the perspective matters. You know what I mean? The other one is Jean-Jacques Rousseau. French culture tended to be more like hierarchical, like um, king and queen, like rich people, poor people. And if you've ever seen Les Miserables, and if you haven't, you should. It's a great movie, great play. Um, then you can kind of see like why he saw things as more hierarchical. He argues that society is governed by general will, um, and general will is what is objectively good for the entire society. However, that entitles the government to do unpopular things if it's good for the entire society. And you can see how this would be the basic justification for like autocracy and abuse and authoritarianism, because it's easy to say, I'm doing this for you, even though you don't want it and you don't think it's good for you. So, really, like that general good is open to negotiation because guillotines seem really painful to me. And that's pretty much how the French Revolution ended. So, like we will tend to lean toward John Locke, but that's mostly because he's the most recent and he was responding to some of these other ideas and criticizing some of them, including Jean-Jacques Rousseau. There was another one, Thomas Hobbes, who wrote in the Leviathan, basically like a slightly different version of natural rights, and before him and before him and before him. And all these philosophers are coming up with ideas to respond to the people before them. And that makes the ideas more and new and contemporary. So next, we're going to see, so what I want you to do is check that you wrote these down. Who do these contracts apply to? What do they mean? Or are they? Or what are they? What do they do? And what do they mean? When are they written? Where were they written? Why they matter? And that why they matter, that can be different. Like that's an asterisk because there's no correct answer to that. It's really what you interpret from this. And this one too, how they affect, whoops, how they affect you in various societies you belong to. And I don't really care how you write these, but you should write them. Pictures and or words are perfect. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna hang up now, but you should know about the social contract and why I'm working so hard.